late Friday, the Department of Homeland Security released the latest numbers on border interactions with the Border Patrol. They show that over the course of fiscal year 2022, 2.4 million encounters happened on the southern border. That's the most ever on record. Republicans have their arguments about that. What's the White House's explanation as to what happened and why?
So I've said this before at this podium in the briefing room. What we're seeing, this new migration challenge, is driven by people who are fleeing falling regimes and economic collapse. You know, and we've talked about this. While we're trying to deal with the challenges, as you all know, you have Republican governors who are using these migrants. They're using them as a political pawn, which you've heard us call out many times from here, and you've heard the president call out. We are doing the work every day to make sure that we deal with what we're seeing in the southern border.
That Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman regularly mocks the president in private, making fun of his gaffes and questioning his mental acuity. The reporter also noted that MBS preferred former President Trump to President Biden, and I wondered if you had any reaction to that.
I don't have any comments to that. So let me say something about your first question. I'm not going to comment about, kind of ridiculous statements. I'm not going to comment on that. But I'll be very clear. The president has been very clear from the beginning of this administration that we needed to review our relationship with Saudi Arabia. On your I'm not going to give it any more light. I'm just saying that more broadly. And on your second question, look.
The president said last week that he's gotten 16 to 18 requests to campaign in these closing weeks. But other than a trip to Pennsylvania, he's got no campaign travel scheduled for this week. So I'm wondering, with 2 weeks to go, does the president feel like he's doing everything he possibly can to get Democrats across the finish line in these?
Look, when the president speaks, he has a large bully pulpit, and he's talked about student debt relief. He's talked about the economy, and let's not forget, we are actually laying out issues and policies that are very popular with the American people, that are issues that the American people want to see when you think about lowering cost. And you have congressional Republicans who want to take that away, who do not want to see Americans have lower energy costs. The first thing that they said that they would do is repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, which, by the way, pieces of that, if you look at it in its parts, every part of that is popular with the American people.
But as it relates to travel, are there any plans for the president to ramp up his travel?
I'm not going to get ahead of the president.
The president talked about his economic policies on Friday and today in the context of the midterms. He said he thought there would be a shift for the Democrats. Can you provide any clarity about what he meant by shift? Shift from what to what?
There's going to be many polls in the short term that we have left in these next couple of weeks. I'm not going to get ahead of them. And as we know, polls go up, polls go down. It's a roller coaster. And so I don't want to get ahead of that. I'll just let his words stand because, again, he was talking about the midterm, so I don't want to dive too much into it. But again, there's going to be a lot of movement in the next couple of weeks, and I think that's what he was speaking to. Of course, I have to be careful of what I say because we do respect the Hatch Act here in this administration, who do not want to see Americans have lower energy costs. The first thing that they said that they would do is repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, and you have congressional Republicans who want to take that away. So I want to also be very careful here in talking about elections or politics. Look, they also have said that they were going to repeal Inflation Reduction Act. They would take that away.